Hey everyone, Ivy League Gaming here, and today we're playing Raid Shadow Legends, and today we are going to compare the decision of fully fusing Lanatharil or keeping the epics instead. Now, I'm here on the test server. I have access to the test server, so I'll make sure to make that clear. We have the actual champion here. We can look at his cooldowns, we can check him out, and we can check out all of the epics. So what I'm going to do is we're first going to look at this character again quick. I know you guys have already seen his kit, so we're going to go by it quick. But I want to talk about where he is best used in the game and where all the epics are best used in the game as well. And then that could help you decide where do you need help in this game, which ones will you actually use. And that might make your decision easier for fusing the legendary versus fusion the epic. Now, I have always been one to go just get the legendary. You never know what content's going to come in that could change and have a use for them, or eventually if they get a buff, if they realized maybe the champion wasn't good enough. Sometimes people get buffs, so it's almost always better to get the legendary. But you guys know we've had some fusions. If you guys remember Sigmund, who actually is a good fusion, guys. He actually is really good for Hydra now. He could be one of the provoke factors for the Head of Decay, but not the only one. It's not enough. But he could also, the rest of his kit actually lends himself very well to Hydra, especially the current rotation of Hydra. So get those Sigmunds out of your vault. But Sigmund had Demitha. You guys remember how much hype was around Demitha. And a lot of people chose to get Demitha instead of Sigmund. And I don't think those people regret it, because so many people made amazing, unkillable clan boss teams thanks to Demitha. So this might be the case for this fusion. You might find more value in one of these epics instead of this legendary, right? That's the reality. So let's take a look at the kit and see what you guys think. So A1, let's see, we're going to talk with books now that we can actually see them. So just damage on the books, of course. A1 decreases target's max HP by 30% if of the damage inflicted, places a shield buff equal to 10% of this champion's max HP for 2 turns on the ally with the lowest HP. So this is obviously a Scarab King type thing, right? That's probably the only thing in the game really where this matters that much at the moment. That could change in the future, guys. Maybe one of the Hydra heads can have its max HP decreased, although I doubt that's going to do much because by the time you kill it, it is what it is. But maybe there'll be some other factor in the game in the future. I would hope that the long-term history of this game doesn't only have one boss that puts this to any use, hopefully. But there are 2 rotations of Doom Tower that have the Scarab King, so we'll see how that goes. Alright, attacks all enemies, places a shield debuff on all allies for 3 turns, equal to 20% of this champion's max HP. So you guys remember, shield buffs do have different multipliers and stuff, but it is based on the max HP, so you want to pump a ton of HP in him to make that shield be big. But this is a 5-turn without books. Books down to a 3-turn cooldown, so traditional Scarab King style without blood shield rings. You guys can actually have him be that shield champion or that champion that maybe can solo it. We'll see if he can keep it up the whole time on his own. If there are any dead allies, places a shield buff on all allies for 3 turns equal to 30% of the champion's max HP instead. This buff cannot be removed, stolen, transferred, spread, or has its duration increased or decreased by enemies or allies. So this buff is going to be one of those with the yellow bracket around it if any allies are dead. So one thing that might be useful, we're going to test him out on some other content to see if he can do some serious damage. But we'll get to that. Stay tuned for more videos there. But I think, well, no, that's what we're talking about right now, right? Bommel, maybe, guys? Are you stuck on Scarab King? Are you stuck on Bommel? He might be your answer. He might be your answer, because if this buff cannot be removed, stolen, transferred, blah, 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 it might, if the shield's big enough, it might be able to keep you alive for dealing with Bommel. We'll have to see, but you gotta remember, when you have a buff up, even if it is one of these, Bommel places an extra bomb on you, so is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. So that's something to consider. It's something we're gonna have to test. Stay tuned for all of us content creators testing that, right? And then let's look at the A3. Places a 30% increased crit damage debuff, or sorry, buff. Increased crit damage buff on all allies for 2 turns. This books to a 4-turn cooldown. Then teams up with all allies to attack a single enemy. So Ally attack champion's great, especially in Hydra. This can really come in handy. I'm finding a high desire for having an ally attack champion in my Hydra teams, because if I have someone like a Coronar in there in a taunting set, it's just another chance to allow everyone to provoke the Head of Decay. Well, not everyone, that one champion to provoke the Head of Decay. But plus, this is going to help you deal with the super annoying Head of Wrath, a shield, and if the shield gets stolen... Nah. I mean, I guess that's what the passive is for, right? Inflicts 20% more damage against targets under shield buffs. This is okay for Arena if you're going against people with shields, but then it'd still be better to remove the shields, let's be honest, so I don't know that this is that exciting. The only thing would be to try to help knock the shields down more if they get stolen by Hydra and you don't have any way of dealing with that. But that's the thing, when you're dealing with Hydra, you either need a mischief, if you're dealing with the Head of Mischief, you either need a mischief target, or you need a way to deal with the buffs getting stolen after they're stolen and spread. You need a Madame Ceres, you need a something. There's a lot of ways to deal with that, but it's one thing to think about. So, where else are we going to use him, guys? Where do you think? I mean, I think Scarab and possibly Bommel, but debatable, because I don't know if this is going to be enough. Is it going to make him get even way too much damage with that extra bomb? I don't know. We'll have to see him in action and test him out here, and hopefully I can do that. Hopefully. Well, although we're on the last rotation, so maybe that's not the case actually. But it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm trying to think if he has really any use. I mean, Arena, you could say that's always good, but you wouldn't want to have to do this. If any enemies are dead, put a shield on them that can't be removed. This could be nice and if he's tanky in a go second team, but I don't know. I don't know that it's really worth it to build a character like this for Arena, but it's possible depending on where you are at the state of the game. Of course, I'm thinking about this from an endgame perspective. I don't know that I'm going to be able to use this champion very well, except maybe, again, maybe for Hydra as an ally attack champion, and then the shield is going to help me deal with the Head of Wrath. But on my account, he's not exactly going to fit into my Nightmare team. Probably not even my Brutal team. Maybe my Hard team, honestly. So it's interesting, and I'm having trouble figuring out where to use him, which is why we have to go to the Epics now, right? We got to go to the Epics now. I'm going to try to be quicker for the Epics. So I think we have Sacred Order. We have 2 Sacred Order Epics. Anchorite. Super cool. He's really creepy. I don't think he moves. He just stays there. Super creepy, nice aesthetic here. He's got a really cool kit. Attacks all enemies, heals the ally with the lowest HP by 10% of the damage inflicted. AoE on the A1, that's awesome, especially on an epic, right? A2 removes 1 random debuff from all allies and then increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. So he's a buff extender on a 3-turn cooldown and a cleanser with only 1 debuff, but still, that can be really helpful. And then we have an A2 that increased crit rate, increased crit damage buff on all allies for 2 turns and fully heals a target ally. So he'll heal 1 ally and then put buffs on everybody. This is definitely helpful for some content. Early game, this could be huge. Getting an extra crit rate and crit damage is really nice, especially on earlier accounts that may struggle to get 100% crit rate. But this is on a 4-turn cooldown, so it's not going to be up all the time. But luckily, he can extend his own buffs, right? So he can extend the buffs after he puts them on. That might, because you can kind of pair that together, that might come in handy. I could definitely see this as another option for even lower levels of Hydra with the AoE on the A1, the healing, the cleansing, the increasing buffs, and yeah, it seems helpful. Definitely for Faction Wars. That's going to be awesome for Faction Wars, especially if you're struggling. I mean, anything with an AoE A1, you can get creative with it. You could even have him in support-based stun set for Faction Wars, Doom Tower, other content where that can come in handy as well as a cleanser and buff extender. But let's take a look. We also have Carolina. She's going to be one of the epics, part of this fusion. So she has an I love her kit, guys, by the way. I really love her kit. A1 HP burn. Up to, what is this, 40, 50, 60% chance to land an HP burn on her A1. Not bad for an A1. Single target though. AoE decrease attack. This debuff cannot be resisted if the target's under HP burn. Yeah, I love that. So she may only place the HP burn on her A1, but if you're gonna throw her in a team that has an AoE HP burn champion, this cannot be resisted, the decrease attack. So that's awesome. The way her kit is to me, I think it might be worth it actually not even worrying about accuracy for the A1 and just oh no, because you need this, yeah, because this doesn't need accuracy, cannot be resisted. So taking advantage of her as a decrease attack champion for Hydra is nice. And then here we go, I love this. Decreases the duration of all buffs on all allies by 1 turn, then places a strength buff on all allies for 2 turns. This buff cannot be removed or stolen. So we have a baby strength in here. A baby strength in. But that can be really helpful, especially in stuff like Hydra. It cannot be stolen by the Head of Mischief or anyone in Arena either. And decrease the duration of debuffs by 1 turn. So she's not quite a cleanser, but almost. At least helpful there. And her passive, every time an enemy under HP burn debuff gets a turn, decreases the duration of 2 random buffs on that enemy by 1 turn. This also screams Hydra to me. I don't know. I mean, that's because how helpful would that be for you have a Geomancer in your team or someone like Mordecai, Cupidus, whatever, and the Head of Wrath puts up that increase attack buff on himself, but he's under HP burn. Every time he gets a turn, he's gonna decrease that buff duration. So besides having someone like maybe a Godseeker in there that can do that, she can help do that too. So she's got an interesting kit. Seems like a solid option as an AoE decrease attack champion for... my brain thinks Hydra right now. Guys, sorry I talk Hydra so much now. My brain's just been going there ever since I've been pushing my main account to be able to do Nightmare Hydra. So I think she's a solid option for at least lower levels of Hydra. Maybe brutal, hard, definitely normal. But I think that's fun. And if you could put accuracy on her too to make sure HP burns are always on other people. But I think even without that, this could still be really helpful. Maybe even have her in like a taunting set so she can provoke with the set and have an extra utility added to her as well. But she's solid, and here's a resistance battle too, so that can be really helpful when dealing of harder content like Doom Tower and Hydra. Alright, and the orcs got some love, guys. We have the orc here, Yelagiana. She looks really cool. I really love her aesthetic. Just her aesthetic alone makes me like her, not gonna lie. But let's take a look at her kit. Attacks one enemy 2 times, places an increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns if this attack kills an enemy. Yeah, okay. AoE decreased attack. There we go again. Books up to 100% chance of placing a decreased attack debuff for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown when booked. Solid. And then attacks one enemy has a 100% chance of placing block buffs debuff and block active skills debuff for 2 turns. This attack is always critical. This could be, again, all of these... that one may be debatable. She'd be a target for the Head of Mischief, but... I don't know where I'd use her. I want to say, again, Baby Hydra. But sounds solid. I bet she's going to smack based on this, we hope. Based on this, we hope. Ooh, I hope she has good multipliers, guys. Let's check out her passive, though. Revives a random ally with 50% HP every time this champion kills an enemy. So, where am I going to use her? I don't know. We're not killing many enemies in Hydra, so I don't think Hydra's her answer. I don't know that I have a place that I could picture putting her at in the game personally, but I think from many accounts, this AoE decrease attack is awesome, and even... I mean, she could just be your decrease attack champion for Clan Boss, because it's on a 3-turn cooldown with a debuff for 2 turns, but then she doesn't have all that much other utility besides that, so that's kind of meh. So I think she's meant to be a single target hitter for something like Arena, but that's a really hard meta, so unfortunately I don't see it. I don't see where to use her besides early game Arena, single target stuff. I don't know. I don't see it, guys. I don't see it. She's really cool looking, and it's good to get some love, but Where do we really use single target hitters like this? Maybe if you have her in Relentless Skier. And then, yeah. I mean, maybe this is fun against... You want to say, oh, maybe it's fun against bosses, but then... All the stuff is if she kills an enemy, which you're not really going to be killing bosses, so... I don't know about her, but she looks really cool. We can definitely say that. Now, the last... Wait, where's the last one? Shadowkin. This girl is freaking cool as well. Wuji. Now this one, I love her aesthetic. So this has a single target weaken. Will target all enemies instead when counterattacking with this skill. So that's her A3 actually brings a 3-turn counterattack on a 2-turn cooldown. So places perfect veil and counterattack buff on the champion for 2 turns. On a 3-turn cooldown, give her lasting gifts, and she's gonna be pretty well set for a mischief target for Hydra. I'm going back to the Hydra guys, but I think they're trying to release more champions to just give people options for the harder content in this game. And it's once you start to understand the mechanics of things like targets for the Head of Mischief or provoking the Head of Decay, like all these things that they've added to the game that I don't know, that it kind of makes sense to think about, right? It makes sense. They made things a little bit easier. They're trying to give us different types of champions to combat it that are not only legendaries, so I can absolutely see her used as a solid target for the Head of Mischief, and her A2 is awesome. AoE books up to 75% chance of placing block buffs for 2 turns. Now unfortunately it's only 75% chance. That's not necessarily good enough for Hydra, but if you have someone else in the team, maybe like a Lydia or something that can actually place it sometimes too on a single target, or I mean you could hope you get lucky, right? You hope you get lucky too, or you have her in like a reflex set and hope we get some cooldown refreshes or relentless gear so she can go more often. But yeah, I really like the only trouble with relentless gear is you don't want these buffs to fall off. You want to make sure she keeps that counterattack up. So I think this champion, if you guys end up going with the Hydra route for her as a mischief target, Reflex is probably your answer. Go farm Ice Golem, guys. Go farm Ice Golem. But she can absolutely be used for more than just that. I mean, block buffs is awesome for dealing with Doom Tower waves, faction wars. That's going to be really helpful. And yeah, just a counterattack buff on her is going to help her pump out extra damage. And also for sake of clan boss, you could also use her with this Perfect Veil provides herself with some damage mitigation and a counterattack buff. So if you don't have a counterattacker in your clan boss team and you want her to be just another source of damage, you could build her in a pure damage build for maybe an unkillable comp. Or actually, we don't need damage mitigation if it's an unkillable comp. Take that back. But she would provide a weaken, and she could provide a counterattack and hit often if you're desperate for someone to place weaken, and yeah, just some extra chances to hit more often. Isn't so bad. You would just lock out the A2 if you're talking clan boss, but I think she's got a good kit. I am definitely going to do some testing with her and Hydra. And guys, for sake of Hydra, I know you guys get annoyed because it's hard. So I'm going to try my best to do some Hydra comps on things like hard that in normal. That way you guys have a chance to not be like, it's only endgame. We all don't have a Duchess and a Krisk and a Sippy and la 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 la. I'll save that for the real account. But what I'll do here on the test server is try to do some lower level Hydra testing with more attainable champions, and obviously including these new champions to see how they hold up. And I mean, it's worth it even just doing normal Hydra every week, guys. The rewards are really good, and that gear is not just PvE gear, or sorry, PvP gear. It's also PvE gear, so that's why I constantly am talking about it and working on it and trying to get better myself. So there we have it, guys. What do you think you should do? Do those 4 epics sound more appealing than the legendary? That's what you need to decide based on your account. And that's honestly is just taking a step and looking at their kits and just figuring out where are these people going to plug into your account. If the legendary feels useless but 2 of those epics seem awesome, maybe it's worth it to just go for the epics. I'm debating myself. I'll probably go for the legendary on the main for real, but my free-to-play is happy that at least can get some epics. So yay, new champions. Let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think you are going to do? Are you going to go for these epics, or are you going to go for the legendary?